You also talk in the book about how much this whole around the world in 80 trips cost you. You compared it to less than the price of a.
Compact new car.
I have a compact car and I read that and I thought, oh my God, I did this wrong. Welcome to Midlife Dialogues, where I talk with people 50 and over who are doing interesting and inspiring things with their lives. Today, what a treat it is to talk with Dr. Sandra Hazelip and Eleanor Hamby. Again, we talked before about a big adventure they had, one of many, the one where they traveled around the world in 80 days at age 80. Amazing. There are two videos that we did about that trip, and I'll put the links below. Today, though, we're talking about another big accomplishment of theirs. They have a book coming out September 2025 from Viking, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, let me welcome you both. Sandy, Ellie, welcome back to the vlog.
Thank you
We're excited about being back again to talk with you.
very much.
Huge congratulations on your book. It's called Here We Go, and the subtitle is Lessons for Living Fearlessly from Two Traveling Nanas. That is a great title. So I just really enjoyed reading an advance copy, and I highly recommend it. Whatever age someone is, it really gets you excited about making the most of the rest of your life. I was highly inspired by it. So let's talk about the cover.
That scene that's on the cover of our book is basically the iconic scene of our whole journey. There were several messages that we realized we were getting across as we were traveling, but one of them was friendship. That was the moment in time when it just seemed like our friendship just came together. It's just like a defining moment. Maybe because we acted like two 12-year-old girls and we were 81 years old. Maybe that had something to do with it. And so when we were getting ready for, coming up with the cover, they threw out several ideas and we really only had one idea from the beginning. And that was an illustration of us on the swing. It just seemed to exemplify everything we stood for. Just get out there and do something, be happy and have fun.
Yeah, and I love this story in the book about how you came to be on that swing where one of your techniques when you travel is you ask people where to go. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we had a car and a driver for the day who was taking us up to a volcano for us to see there in Bali. And while we were driving up the mountain road, there was this big sign that said Happy Swing. And Ellie said, "What is that all about?" He said, "Well, let's turn around and find out." And when she saw that, she said, "We're all about happy. We have got to do the Happy Swing."
That is great.
Yeah, it was just a moment in time, just a fleeting moment that you made a quick decision. That's one reason why Sandy and I love traveling by ourselves and independent, because we can do that. So many of our adventures throughout all the trips that we've taken have been the spur of the moment. We didn't plan on that.
Yes,
And it just happened because we said yes.
that's right.
Yeah, that really comes across in the book. That's one of your mottos, is to just say yes to things.
Right.
Sort of describes your approach to life, it sounds like.
Yeah,
So
we're always afraid we might miss something really great.
would you guys just give us a quick summary of, what the itinerary was so people have an idea of what your book talks about?
Yes. First of all, I mentioned to Ellie one night when I was at her home, anticipating getting old and turning 80. I said, "Ellie, wouldn't it be fun to go around the world in 80 days at age 80?"
Mhm.
Well, Ellie's eyes got big and she said yes. So we made all of our plans ourselves. We had every hotel reservation made, every airline reservation made, and COVID shut it down. But COVID didn't shut us down. So we made the trip the following year, and our new theme was Around the World in
80 days at 81 and still on the run.
That's so great. And that's part of your spirit too. You guys just make it happen, which is
Yeah, we do. Yes, and I think it's just the fact that whenever we were getting ready to turn 80, it wasn't like, well, what are we going to do? Should we, are you going to get a retirement center? Are you going to go here? It was like, well, we're turning 80. Obviously, that's older. Still not old to us. We don't feel old. So
That's great. And in the book, you talk also about the importance of finding a true friend. You two have
yes.
become really great friends. And I think that can be hard when you're older, but clearly it's possible. How do you find a true friend when you're in your 80s?
Well, it came about when I was 79 and my husband was still alive.
69.
Excuse me, I meant to say 69.
Yeah.
Right. and my husband was still alive, we had had a visiting missionary at church, and he was so impressed that when we got home, he said, Sandy, we ought to start taking our grandchildren on mission trips in the summer. Well, I'm a busy physician and I don't have time for mission trips, but I didn't say that to him. So I said, what kind of mission trips? And he said, I don't know, Sandy, but I'm sure there's something we could do that would be a benefit to missionaries and it would be a great experience for our grandchildren. So he had planted that seed. Shortly thereafter, he became ill and he died. I was really struggling. And 6 months after he died, there was a young ER doctor that worked on weekends at our hospital where I was on staff at my little town of Eastland. So it was my turn to be on call for the weekend. So I went through the ER to introduce myself and said, thank you so much for coming and helping us. And we hope you'll come real often. And he said, well, thank you, but I can't come next weekend because I'm going to go to a medical missions workshop in Dallas. So the next weekend, I found myself at that medical missions workshop in Dallas. Well, I was looking around trying to see what I might do. And as I said, I was still struggling with his loss. And then I saw this sign that said Africa. And I thought, I know I'm not going to Africa. So I started heading toward the front door. And this rich voice behind me said, hello, my name is Kelly Hamby. What's your name? And I turned around and his smiling wife was standing there. And I introduced myself and they said, well, let us tell you about our mission work in Zambia. I said, don't waste your time. If I go on a mission trip, I need to go someplace very safe because I want to take my grandchildren. In unison, they said, oh, Zambia is very safe. We take our grandchildren every year. So that's how I wound up
In
going to
Zambia.
Zambia with a grandchild and getting really acquainted with this lady that I've never seen anyone so well organized, a bigger workaholic than I was. And our friendship started developing. And then tell what happened a few years later.
Yes, and my husband passed away about 5 years after that. Sandy and I were friends. She lived in Eastland, 60 miles away, and we really only met each other on the medical mission whenever she would go every other year. And but my husband passed away suddenly in a tennis accident, and he had a fall and had a massive brain hemorrhage and died within 24 hours. It was really hard because I wasn't expecting it at all. It wasn't in my plans. He was still in his 60s and, quite young back then. So it'd been about a month after he had passed, and I was still struggling to adjust to life without my husband. And Sandy calls me one evening and she said, Ellie, I've got a deal for you. And so I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, I've been asked to open up the geriatric clinic at the hospital here in Abilene. Don't want to move to Abilene. I want to keep my home in Eastland, but I need a bed a couple of nights a week. And if you'll just give me a bed, I'll take you out to eat. And that was 20 years ago. And that's how we became the best of friends, because in the evening times, we'd go out to eat late, we'd drink lots of coffee, we'd stay up late, working, talking about life. We're very, very different personalities. I'm more of a daredevil. She's a sweeter, gentle person. I'm more like, but we realized that we really did have the same outlook on life. We both had a strong faith. We both had our values in life were similar. We loved taking our grandchildren on trips, which we were both doing on our own. Even in planning the trips, it wasn't like, well, do we want to do the first one like the Trans-Siberian first class or second class? It was never even discussed. We both assumed we were going second class because that's just the way we travel, and we love going second class.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that too. That let you meet people in a way that traveling more luxury would not have, and it shaped a lot of your adventures.
By staying in local hotels and inns rather than fancy American chain hotels, we met the people of that region. We were in their culture, and that's how we developed relationships with the people that we traveled with.
Yeah, that sounded great. And what was the amount that you tried to keep to every day?
Yes.
Okay, when we averaged the whole cost of our 80-day trip, our average hotel cost $29 a piece per night, and that usually included breakfast. But would you like to know our cheapest?
Yes.
Our cheapest was $13 per night each, and that was in Cairo, Egypt. But let me tell you how we got there. The taxi dropped us off in the alley, and when he dropped us off, I said, you're dropping us off in the alley to go to our hotel? Yeah, you'll see a gate down there. Just rattle the gate and they'll let you in.
So we go and we rattle the gate, and Ahmed, I think that was his name, comes up. He's got kind of a red and white check Bedouin type of scarf he's wearing, and he opens the gate, and there's no the hotel lobby. It's just their home. And it was a parents' home, he said. There were 4 brothers, and they decided to turn it into an inn. And so that's what they did. It had 6 floors. It was great. It was a small little room, very, very clean. We've never stayed in anything that wasn't clean.
Right.
It didn't have fancy anything like that, but it had its ensuite. That was great. But the rooftop, you could walk up to the rooftop, and in the evening time, we could see the light show for free. And for budget travelers, free. It doesn't get better than free. So then that just confirmed to us that it's not the price you pay for the hotel. And the fact that small places are much more friendly and more helpful than your big hotels. So we rarely stayed in a big hotel.
You two are bold and brave because a lot of people wouldn't want to get out of a taxi in an alley in Cairo.
No, but we were kind of stuck, weren't we, Sandy?
We were dropped off.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot
the
of
place had great ratings. So we all were really big on how we book a place, and it has to have really good ratings. We generally like, if it's a maximum of a 10, we generally don't want to stay anything much lower than an 8. And in price does not determine the rating at all. And it needs to have lots of reviews. So far, we've had really good luck using that rating
Yes.
system.
there's a lot of examples in the book of that, and it makes me realize, okay, you're not foolhardy, you're
Right.
making careful choices, but you're choosing them on a level that a lot of people don't think to do, and your ship is richer for it, which is
Oh, it
really
is,
really
yes.
a neat lesson. I loved reading about how you made t-shirts to wear on your round the world trip, and that people saw them and came up and talked to you, and it became much more, I think, than you had expected, right? And
Oh,
the media got involved.
Well, it was Sandy's idea to do the t-shirts. And one evening she said, Ellie, we need to have t-shirts. I said, no, Sandy, I don't do matchy. I'm just not my psyche. I'm not going to go around and we're wearing matchy t-shirts. And we both talked to our daughters. We happen to have 2 daughters who are good friends, who were born on the same day, the same month, and the same year. And they're very similar personalities, and they're friends. And they both agreed with me. No, y'all would look silly going around in matchy t-shirts. But Sandy persisted. And finally I said, okay, we'll get us a couple of t-shirts. And it was great. I mean, it really was everywhere we would go with the beginning.
Before we ever caught our first flight, there were young people in their 30s who were just amazed and enthralled and wanted to speak to us. Tell us about this.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
That was smart. And that kind of, I got the impression reading your book that you hadn't intended for this to become a huge
Oh,
thing.
no.
It did. You were just going on a trip, but
That's exactly right.
yeah, people started seeing the t-shirt. You started doing a little bit of social media. You got local media, different places started contacting you. And then you were on the Australian morning show?
Yes.
Yes.
And then CBS News.
Yeah.
And they had you shooting B-roll everywhere you went.
Right, that's right. And they didn't care about words or anything. In fact, the first thing I sent to CBS, it was in the Antarctica, and we were talking, and they said, really, we don't care about you talking. We just want to see action in the background, like B-roll. And so we started doing that. And that was one of the really fun things, wasn't it, Sandy?
Yes, it was.
Because we asked everyone.
We just asked strangers, would you take a B-roll of us?
Yeah.
Well, that's
And
great too. That's another thing that helped you meet people.
oh,
and
it did, because then they always wanted to have a photo made with us. And whenever we tell them, hey, yeah, we're supposed to be on television, we need to have this done and whatever. So that was great fun, and we're so glad we did it.
Yes.
From the very beginning, that we realized we needed to take this video with my iPhone.
Someone came up to you and said, oh, you're the TikTok traveling grannies.
We couldn't believe that one.
Yeah, that one was in Japan at the Shinjuku train station. And where were we trying to go, Sandy?
Trying to go to Mount Fuji.
Yes. And we weren't having any luck, were we?
No.
No.
And a stranger, young man, tell us what happened.
Just came. We're standing out there in our t-shirts, fortunately, and we really have been 2 hours, at least 2 to 3 hours, and we are just about ready to say it's just not going to be in the cards for us to go to Mount Fuji. We just can't buy a ticket. Nobody can help us. Nobody can speak English. Nobody. It just wasn't working out. And he comes up and he says these words, "I know you." And we said, "What? You know us?" And he said, "Yes, I'm Z Ziggy from Slovenia, and I read about you last week in the London Daily Mail, and here we are in Japan together.
And then he said, "It looks like you two ladies are having a little problem."
Yes,
We said, "Well, we are."
are.
And we told him what we were trying to do. And he said, "You know, what I had planned today was not that important. I'm going to help you ladies get your tickets to Mount Fuji."
And Ziggy did, and we did. And really, that just confirms, the goodness of humanity. Sandy and I strongly believe in the goodness of humanity. We know there are bad people out there. I mean, that's for sure. But the goodness far outweighs the bad.
Yes.
And people want to help, and just let them help. And open your hearts and your minds and your arms to the people that cross your path.
Absolutely.
And who knows how many Ziggies you might meet. And be a Ziggy to someone else too.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, that really comes across in the book. It's a good lesson to remember that, yeah, there are bad people here and there, but the vast majority of people are kind and friendly. And,
And yes,
that too. And it's great to remember that.
we're strong believers in that.
Absolutely.
And I liked reading about what you wrote about when you need help to choose the helper. You don't let the helper choose you. That's a very wise.
Yes, that
Even
was
with-
Sandy's saying. She came up with that
even
one.
with Ziggy came up and talked to you, but you chose to let him help you.
Yes, absolutely. You could have said, no, we're okay. But you could tell that he really wanted to help. We chose to let Ziggy help us.
Right.
You also talk in the book about how much this whole around the world in 80 trips cost you. You compared it to less than the price of a
Compact new car.
I have a compact car, and I read that and I thought, oh my God, I did this wrong.
We really started traveling later in life, and it just really gave us a meaningful, fun type of experience to have. If you could travel with your grandchildren, you can travel with your best friend.
May I ask how old you both are now?
We're 84.
And is there more?
Oh, absolutely. We've got another trip coming up. So
We made a trip when we were 82
and we're not through.
And we made one when we were
83 with more to see. So what we're doing is we're not going to repeat the Around the World in 80 days. Now we decided that we would go back each year to one continent and spend more time there, about 30 days. And so when we were 82, we went to South America, and we had a blast.
Wonderful time.
We went to the Amazon on a budget when we went piranha fishing and alligator hunting, and I went swimming with the pink dolphins. Then we climbed Machu Picchu and some other mountains. Like, oh my goodness, are we really doing this? And then we went this year.
I have to stop you for a minute. You two climbed up Machu Picchu at 82?
Yeah. Wow. And Sandy needed a hip at that time.
So when I got home, I had a hip replacement.
So you can keep going.
Yes, so I could
But
keep going.
One of the things we found out is when we travel by ourselves, we set our own pace. If we want to rest here, well, why not? We can. We did a tour that was gifted to us from a TV show we were on to New Zealand. And while it was wonderful.
Yes, it was.
But we liked being able to decide today, let's do this, and we'll do it at our own pace. And if you're with a group, then that pace is there, and you either have to kind of drop out or whatever. That's what makes us have a good time when we're traveling, because we're basically doing it at the way that we want to do it. So yes, we didn't climb it a way a 40-year-old would have. Okay, it probably took us a little bit longer, but the main thing is we did it.
That's great. So that was when you were 82. You went to South America.
Yeah, South America.
And then 83, we went to Oceania.
Oh.
And yes, and we stayed in one of the little islands in Papua New Guinea, where there's no running water, no electricity.
It was a little village, just one family.
And we spent the night.
And everything we had, they either caught that morning
Out of
for
the
lunch. He sent his sons out with spears in the ocean. They speared lobster. Now, that doesn't get better than that. In the middle of Papua New Guinea, in the jungle, you're eating a lobster that was freshly speared that morning. And it was just great. Fabian and Mildred were just wonderful, wonderful, lovely people. You don't have to have TV. You don't have to have all these modern things. What we drank for our water was coconut milk juice, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
That they
that's good.
cut off the tree just right before us. Those experiences we wouldn't take anything for. That's why we love traveling. It's just those connections we make and to experience those kind of things.
So that must have been last year?
Well,
That
that
was
was
this year.
This year in
In
February.
year.
February.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so now you're 84, and what's the next plan?
Well, we're probably going to go to Europe, but we're not going to the normal Europe trip. We're going to some of the more out of the way, smaller countries and things. And we've got to go to Slovenia. We
I
would
was
love
just
to
thinking, are
connect
you going to
with
go see
Cindy
Hazelip?
again. In
Great.
fact, we've been on media in Slovenia. That's kind of what we plan. And our book is supposed to be being printed in German by the largest publishing company in Germany. And so we're hoping that'll kind of tie in with that
We
too
could go
when
to
it comes.
Germany then. Yeah.
And we'll stop there to do a little promotion on our book in German,
Oh,
in
that's
the
great.
German language. Mhm.
Do you know when you're taking that trip?
It'll be after the first of the year.
And since Europe is farther north than these other places, we will probably make it more like in
Yeah.
later March and April.
April,
So it won't be quite so cold when we're there.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about quickly is I liked when you talked about how the older you get, the more you can get away with. I mean,
yes.
that's great. And also you said that as older women travelers, you're often perceived as non-threatening and sort of a novelty. So tell us
Sure.
a little bit about how people treated you.
Most of the places that where we were staying, where they were kind of like out of the way, unusual places, we were often told, "Well, you're the oldest people that have ever stayed here." And so we begin to realize that yes, we are the oldest people, and I think because Sandy hugs everyone. I mean, it doesn't matter. She hugs everyone, even down in the deepest pits of the pyramids. There's this Arab man he's showing people around. And of course, I'm busy taking photos, unfortunately, but Sandy is just enthralled with what's happening. And she's just so excited. And he just reaches out and hugs her. It was just the most appropriate thing to do because he was a guide and here was this older lady, like his grandmother
Right.
even. But an Arab man was a little bit different. Just reaching out to people and that sort of thing really does make a difference. Our book will be for sale. September the 16th is the publication date. It will be coming out in hardback. There will be a paperback that is large print for all of our older audiences, like large print books. It will come out in a Kindle and it will come out as an audiobook. And we just finished reading the book.
Yes.
That was tougher than traveling around the world in 80 days. It was 4 days of doing your audiobook.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you two did the voicing of that.
Yeah, we did.
The
We
whole
did.
And there were 186 words that I had to learn how to pronounce in my car.
Exactly.
Tell me 3 of them.
Sri Poyotha Vinayagar.
What?
Sri Poyotha Vinayagar. That's a temple. That's
That
a
we-
Hindi temple in Malacca. Yeah.
Yeah, that we visited.
That we visited.
Oh, how funny. Thank you so much, Ellie and Sandy. It has been wonderful talking to you again. You are both great and fun, and it reminds the rest of us to live our lives and get out there. I really enjoyed your book. Read it in some way or listen to them voicing it. Thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you.
Yeah,
And follow us on social media at Around the World at 80. And the AT is spelled out. And then the number 80.
Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for watching Midlife Dialogues, and we'll see you next time. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.